I'm Keith Waits from Louisville Visual Art, sitting here with Chip Mad Mood Vibe Calloway, who is many things, but today we're talking about him as an artist. We're sitting in front of one of his pieces that is a part of his show, Triggers Chapter 2, that's currently at Louisville Visual Art in our gallery in our building. So Chip, how would you summarize what this show is trying to say?
Well, it is chapter 2 of a journey I started back in 2020. I just got my iPad, and I was doing a lot of moving around, mainly because of all the stuff that was happening with Breonna Taylor and being part of the protest. I was constantly creating,
Right.
and I was kind of creating different ideas, or really just emotions, that I was going through with like just different things. It seemed like that whole year felt like 5 years, and it was like there was so many different changes, and it kind of like a little bit kind of chronicled the changes that happened between 2020 until now. This is just a continuation of what I did from the last show. The last show was called subtitled Trust Issues, and most of the portraits, they had a certain side eye. So they would look, but they would just kind of like looking to the side. And there's one thing that I experienced during 2020 is like a lot of the organizations, a lot of groups kind of just went through a huge shift.
Right.
And it was like became a thing of like, who do you trust? I'm saying when you would think it was time of unity, it became the vision got even larger.
More fragmented, maybe? At the same time?
Yeah. At the same time, it became like little fractions, little groups of this and that, but it all just became just it wasn't together.
Right.
Yeah, at all. It was just it didn't bring that unity that you would expect from a situation that happened. It just kind of like fell apart.
Well, the people in your images, are they inspired or drawn from actual people? Or are
Inspired by just ideas, music. Two pieces. This piece right here, it is Red Flag Warning, and it was inspired by just the cops of 2020. It was just you didn't really know
is this red light kind of
reflecting up, and I really was thinking about the I guess the looting that happened on Broadway at the Crocus, and just seeing that just everybody was out, and just because of it was over policed for no reason, a person in the community got shot. But what's also ironic about it, a year later, after that riot, Healing Walls, we did a mural right at the same spot.
At that crook?
There. So,
and that's the Healing Walls project. There's many people involved with that, but Ashley Cathy,
yes,
Ace is one of those people, key person there. So they're inspired by real people, but do they become something fictional, or are they saying something that is different than the inspiration? Do they extend off?
Extend off. It's mainly it's in the world of Mad Mood Vibe. Like all this exists within this universe. These are all real people, going through real different things. But it's just like this, like with movement and with the Blue is Live. These are people I know, people I've been around. But I just morph them into
Right.
yeah.
Well, there's an inspiration. You talk about music, because I feel like I can really get, when I look at some pieces, I do get a very distinct sort of emotional feeling that might be coming from music of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a DJ, we should say
Right.
too. You're a very important part of your artistic identity is that you work with music and sound.
Right.
So do you do you think like have a playlist for a show or playlist of or certain kinds of things?
Really every show I've ever done, and I've been doing shows off and on for like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I've always either I would I mix myself for it, or I would hire a house DJ to come in. I had a friend of mine that's from Columbus, Ohio. I would have come in. I have local DJs like Seeds, Trevor Lamont, who's I played in my own shows. But it's mainly like music is such a huge part of my shows, and really a big part of my art, because I'm constantly listening to something to inspire me to do these movements with my hands.
Were there particular artists when you started making visual art that inspired you? Are there names that you would offer up?
Ernie Barnes.
I see Ernie Barnes.
Yeah, and it was like, because of good times. It really is because of good times.
Right.
And seeing that, and seeing like how, looking back at like seeing good times now being, our artists, and seeing the stuff that JJ had to go through, I identify with it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I really get it now. And just how, his passion, like no matter what, he kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going until he got his comic book at the, he had the comic book about the end of the season. And but yeah, he was a huge influence. Basquiat.
Yeah.
It's a lot of comic book artists. I'm really a lot of comic book artists. I was into, because it's really it's that the merging of style. Because it took me a while to come up with just what my style was going to be.
Yeah.
It started off with just making like T-shirts and doing like designs with just like I would actually work for a record label in Atlanta, and just trying to find my own style in it. So I just kind of just meld everything that I love, like graffiti, comics, Afrofuturism.
Well, I was going to ask you, because I mean, there is definitely a big sort of strain of Afrofuturism in your work, but I don't feel like you're ever strictly that. Like it doesn't sort of contain you. It's a strain. Does that seem fair to say?
Yeah, it's almost like it's like circuitry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a almost unofficial, almost like robot, almost like toy. Has a certain shine to it. You know what I'm saying? It's a plastic.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I see a lot of, I mean, it's interesting you would say like robotic, because I also see like I feel like there's a lot of life and a lot of like hot flesh sort of aspect to some of the images. I know, but like that one right there strikes me that way.
Yeah.
But then the one next to it is a little bit cooler, because it's monochromatic, it's black and white.
Yeah.
But when you say Ernie Barnes, you see the kind of extension that I see,
Yeah,
which was a
long
big
necks,
big feature of
yeah.
his work, that his figures were kind of exaggerated. So those long necks, those long faces,
And there's another artist, Frank Morrison. It's his style too. It's a lot like Ernie Barnes.
yeah.
And I got a chance to meet him in last October, and it was just like talking to him for a split second. He liked some of my work. I was just like amazed. I'm like, you like my work?
Yeah.
I was like that. But,
So where is he? Is he?
He's in Atlanta.
He's in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And you just met him? Cool.
Yeah,
Was he like a hero?
No,
Right here.
I mean,
Just
I wouldn't
somebody
say a
like-
hero. You know what I'm saying? Just mainly just another dope artist that I follow, and just to know that some artists are just some are weird, just some aren't. So you don't know what to expect. But he was really cool, and
Sure. Okay.
I got a chance just to kick it with him for a second.
Well, it's sort of interesting to see where you place something. I mean, is somebody like Basquiat like a hero? Because Basquiat's become such a larger than life figure. And of course, that's happened. You die early, right? That was always what happens.
Right.
But like, so when people, I always, when you ask that question, I always think people are going to talk about dead people. So it's nice to hear you talk about like some people who are just working in other cities.
Yeah.
At the same time, your contemporaries are having that sort of influence on you.
Yeah. It took a while, because the origins of Mad Moon Vibe comes from Atlanta. I changed my name to Mad Moon Vibe because of it was my tag name.
Right.
And I was like, well, use this.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from here.
You're from here, but you were spent time in.
Yeah, I lived in once I left UK
Yeah.
my junior year. I had the opportunity to go to Maryland and go to art school, or just tough it out and be a struggling artist in Atlanta. And I rolled the dice and I moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a happening city.
Well, yeah, at the time it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was, this is the '90s, so it was like hip hop was growing. We did a lot of work with celebrities, but it still wasn't that big push. And really at that time, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have that mentorship, so I was just kind of like this, trying to find my lane. But during that time, I stopped art. I got back in, and it's really just started trying to figure out what I want to do about Mad Moon Vibe. So in the last 10 years, when I did my first show, I decided I want stuff on canvas and I want it on walls. So.
Well, in this identity, Mad Moon Vibe, is there a story about how you came up with that?
Yeah, Mad Moon Vibe is actually from Nat Turner. He was a minister slave,
Yeah.
and he would have visions, and he would be like, always called from the moon. And I've always felt that, my talents are not mine. It wasn't like I actually was like a study. It's just what I do.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just a calling. And sometimes I've always been a soft-spoken person. I've always been like, just really quiet. But when I do say something, it's usually loud. So it's really like that same play on it. It's like I got to have that call into, maybe may not say much, but when I do, it's going to be felt.
So as Mad Moon Vibe, I'm not even sure. I'm trying to remember now. Like, what did I know first? Did I know like the music, or did I know? And I say music. You're fond of like dropping like a mix you've put together. You used to do it every week.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're still doing that. Just like a little segment of just sort of like this is how it feels where I'm at this week.
Yeah, I would do like a thing called, really I almost did it almost like daily, morning rituals. I would just actually just wake up, and just how I feel was how I played.
Yeah.
So I'll maybe do an hour, maybe do 30 minutes, until I just got tired and just stop. And it just, kind of like a diary, just like just a morning meditation. Just gotta get my day started. I haven't been doing it much.
Do you do that with visual stuff? Do you you get in every day and work on
every day,
something a little bit?
every day. So like with all these pieces, I have probably another 30.
Yeah.
That I've been working on. So I already started on working on stuff for chapter 3. So it's a lot. I have a lot of stories, and now this is mainly dealing with stuff I've dealt with here. Chapter 3 will probably be more of my life in Atlanta and how that was. And it was crazy.
Yeah.
Man, it was crazy.
Like crazy good, crazy.
Like crazy, like the stories.
Dangerous.
Like the crazies, like the stories I have. I live in there. I have one story about a rapper named Too Short.
Yeah.
And I was at a club, drunk.
Because that's clubbing.
Yeah. I'm 21. For real. And
At the time you told the story.
yeah,
Of the story.
yeah. I'm 21 at the story.
You're a little bit older now.
Oh yeah, wait.
A couple years.
Yeah. So my tire is flat. I'm too drunk.
Right.
I'm not gonna do that. So my stepsister happened to be there, and she was like, "Hey, Todd, help us." So I'm just like, I'm trying. So I'm looking up, and I'm like, that's too short. Too short is changing my tire. And I'm like, I passed back out. Then wake back up. I'm like, wait a minute. Too short is changing my tire. I get up, you know what I'm saying? I grew up with Too Short. In high school, you know, between NWA and Too Short, these are the things that we listen to. And his subject matter is, you know what I'm saying, this little X. And just to know that he actually helped me change the tide, you know what I'm saying? He was probably the nicest person I ever met. I mean, he didn't call me any names, anything like that, what he does. But he was so great, and he was like, you know, just call me Todd. So since he lived in Atlanta too, so every time I would see him, I was like, hey, Todd. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll see a lot of celebrities living in Atlanta. A lot of celebrities.
Was he from there, or was it?
No, he's from Oakland.
Relocated?
Yeah, like during the '90s, a lot of music artists, a lot of rappers moved to Atlanta. So it was like it was the Black Mecca, really.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I did a logo for T-Boz from TLC, and it was she lowballed me on it, really, and it really was for her boyfriend at the time, but was in a group called Jodeci. Ended up selling it for like $50. And he is probably still using this logo today. I think he used it on his like solo album, and I never got anything from it. Yeah.
Every artist probably has a story like that.
Yeah.
You know, at some
Yeah.
point, reports of contracts and stuff. But when you're trying to make connections, you just sort of feel like it's always good to sort of be friendly
Right.
and build those relationships. But
Right.
it doesn't-
Yeah, I don't. It never does.
So why did you eventually come back to Louisville? What was
The murder of my cousin. We was about to start a business in Atlanta, and on the day that he was murdered, I had faxed him some papers that I needed him to sign for the lease of a storefront. And what was so odd about that time, as I was looking for him, I was looking out my window, and I actually saw someone get shot out my window. I didn't live in the hood. I lived in a really nice area. You know, so it was just odd to see that. And so later that day, I still didn't hear from him. Nothing. My father called me, called my 1-800 number. I had one for my business, and he was like, your cousin Jason got shot, and I was like, all right, no, he's dead. So I was just like, it was it. Because after all the struggles of trying to get art together, you know what I'm saying, in Atlanta, and finally being able to get a store, you know what I'm saying, my dream.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, it was just like boom, just shattered like that. I was like, no, forget this, I'm coming home. So I came home, I moved home in like 2001, and I just came back and forth. You know what I'm saying, moved back to Atlanta, then moved to Florida, then moved back here, and
Well, we're glad you're back here.
well, thank you.
And glad to be able to have your work up.
Yeah.
You know, so thanks, man. You
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah,
Keep doing it.
Don't stop.
Yeah. All right.
Right. Thank you.
Chip Calloway.